Let's bring you up to speed with a couple of other important stories. Of course, and this is the big national one for the day. In a clear setback for the government, the Supreme Court has reinstated Alok Verma as the CBI director, setting aside the CVC's order. Remember, Alok Verma and his deputy Rakesh Asthana had been asked to go on leave in October following a bit of feud between the two. Ashmit is here with exactly what transpired at the court. Plenty of drama today, Ashmit.
Well, the number one and number two at India's premier investigating agencies fighting like Kilkenny cats, the term used by the Attorney General. Midnight orders passed by the CVC for removing both of them from active duty, and high drama here before the apex court. The Supreme Court today, by way of its judgment, looking to put an end to this crisis in India's premier investigating agency. What the apex court essentially has done is that it has held that the legislative intent to shield the CBI director from external influences is quite clear. That the CBI director should be a role model of independence and integrity, and if there were any provisions, if there was any legislative intent to tweak the term of the CBI director, there would have been very clear provisions to that effect. And with this observation, the apex court reinstating Alok Verma back as the CBI director and setting aside the 23rd October midnight CVC order. Having said that, what the apex court has also done is that it has slipped in two important caveats. Number one, the apex court has directed the selection panel consisting of the Prime Minister, the Leader of Opposition as well as the CJI to reconvene and deliberate upon the matter within a week's time. So that's something that they will be sitting together and they will be looking at this matter. The second important caveat is that up until the deliberations of the selection panel are concluded, no major policy decision can be taken by Alok Verma, even though he has been reinstated. Now, there are a few questions that remain to be answered. Number one question is, the Supreme Court has remained silent on the extension of the tenure of Alok Verma to account for the process and the time spent in litigation. The second key question is, will the selection panel look at the CVC report that had been submitted before the apex court, which appeared to be a mixed bag? And the third question is, will the selection panel go ahead and look for a new candidate as far as the CBI director itself is concerned? So a number of questions that need answers, but as of right now, the apex court bringing in some clarity, ensuring that the office of the CBI director is protected, is shielded to ensure independence, reinstating him with the caveat that there can be no major policy decisions up until the selection panel decides.
Okay, well, some more news coming in. Banks saying they're restricted by the NCLAT from taking any action with respect to recovering dues. This is banks which have to declare their ILNFS group accounts as NPA in Q3. Okay, this is quite interesting. We will try and get you some more details on this in just a moment. But first up, let's listen into the reaction that came in from the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on that all-important story coming in from the Supreme Court.
The court apparently has strengthened the immunity given to the CBI director in the larger interest of a fair and impartial functioning of the CBI. At the same time, the court has devised an accountability mechanism. In accordance with the directions of the court, obviously they will be complied with, and the government would act in the same manner.
Let's now hear out what Sanjay Hegde, counsel for Alok Verma, as well as senior advocate Aryama Sundaram had to say on this matter.
Today's verdict is a victory for institutional integrity. Each institution that is independent according to the Constitution and the law in this country has been defended. If the court had insulated the CBI and the CBI director against interference, trying to subvert that decision of the Supreme Court in the Vineet Narayan's case by sending the CBI director on leave was simply not on. The Supreme Court today has reiterated the importance and the independence of the CBI director's office. I do not see it solely as a victory for Mr. Alok Verma, who will be reinstated, but I see it as a victory for the independence of investigative agencies in this country.
CBI director should be a person, an independent person, who's appointed by a white panel selection committee and who has a security of tenure and should not be removed without that such a panel itself feeling there's a reason for it. So it is for that reason, since that process was not followed, but de facto the CBI director was virtually stopped from functioning, the Supreme Court has felt that this is a matter which could have been done only by the selection committee and therefore has reinstated him. But at the same time, it has also, I think, in its own way, taken note of the fact that there are very serious issues regarding the very functioning of the agency, and therefore has said that he will function but will not take policy decisions.
Okay, from that story, let's now move on to the important updates that are there on our screen right now. The RBI has turned down bankers' request to allow a standstill arrangement for the exposure banks have towards the IL&FS group companies. Ritu is joining in with the details. Ritu, what does this mean? I mean, if you have exposure from IL&FS and if it's stressed and if there are no payments coming in, then NPA?
Well, not an NPA straight away, but yes, there has been stress on the account. The NCLAT order bars lenders from taking any action to recover their dues because, the case is sub judice right now. The matter is being heard at NCLT and NCLAT. In the meantime, banks collectively, we understand, have an exposure of about 60,000 crore rupees to IL&FS and its group subsidiaries. Now, part of this could turn non-performing because, payments have not come in, at least for the last 1 month or so is what we've been told. Do remember, we had recently reported that banks, led by SBI, UCO, Indian Bank and several others that have exposures of over 500 crores had approached the Reserve Bank of India to allow a standstill arrangement for all loans through the IL&FS group subsidiaries for a period of at least 6 months to protect, their balance sheets. But that is something we understand that the Reserve Bank of India has now rejected. It has said that there will be no special forbearance for loans to IL&FS group, which means in this quarter, that is the third quarter itself, we could see some of the large lenders to IL&FS reporting some stress. Of course, not all of these 60,000 crores will turn NPAs at once, but yes, some portion of that may slip. So, we'll hear more as the earnings season kicks off. And the first one to report, of course, is IndusInd Bank tomorrow. That alone has a significant exposure to IL&FS group companies. So we'll wait to hear from the management what kind of provisioning cover they've taken, etc. Because the stress element on this account is very, very clear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember clearly because they did say that they have a total exposure of around 3,000 odd crores, out of which around 2,000 odd crores was to the holding company, the parent, and then there was an additional exposure to several of the SPVs as well. That was almost 1,000 crores. Let's see. We will hopefully get an update from IndusInd tomorrow itself. Thanks very much, Ritu, for getting us that story. On that note, we will move on to yet another exclusive with the union budget around the corner. Ministries have been submitting their demands and proposals to the Finance Ministry. Anshu Sharma is here with the Steel Ministry's wish list. Anshu, what's on it?
Sources have told CNBC TV18 that Steel Ministry may seek uniformity in import duty rates for flat, long and semi-products. And we understand that the proposal is to impose 12.5% on both flat and long steel products and 10% on all semi-finished products, which will include billets, slabs, ingots, blooms, etc. Interestingly, the ministry may ask for increasing peak import duty of steel from current peak import duty, which is at 15% to 25%. The reason is uncertainty in the global steel market. An increased peak import duty will provide flexibility to increase rates to counter any fluctuations, if there are any, in the global market. Now, Steel Ministry may also seek complete removal of import duty on coking coal, which is currently at 2.5%. The reason being that globally no major steel producing country retains import duty on coking coal. Also that such measures will only help companies become profitable and increase corporate income tax. Remember, currently the 2.5% of import duty is imposed on coking coal import. On the other hand, Ministry may also seek complete scrapping of import duty on ferronickel, chrome, steel melting scrap. The new duty that it has sought is on iron ore pellet exports, as it has been showing uptrend in the past few years. We'll have to wait and watch out as to how many such proposals will be taken into account for the budget on February 1st. Back to you.